emotional and economic mayhem is unsettling India's industrialization and forcing the nation to rethink its development agenda. While the struggle to formulate fair and sensible land acquisition policies is natural in a maturing democracy, mostly, this issue has been ignored because those affected by land acquisition were usually tribals or residents of distant, dusty villages. Now the Singur episode, which is holding the introduction of much admired Nano to ransom, could turn into a lightning rod for change. Welcome to Public Forum. Tonight we'll talk about politics and industrial development. Well, to discuss the same, we have a distinguished panel of guests. Please welcome Mr. Sunil Chopra, Member Central Committee CPIM. Sitting next to him is Mr. Manish Tiwari, National Spokesperson of Congress Party. And we also have with us Mr. Sunil Sehgal, Senior Secretary, PSG Chamber of Commerce. I welcome you all to the show. A very warm welcome. So before we begin the discussion, let's take a quick look at this report.
In recent times, efforts by various industrial groups to spread their enterprises in less developed parts of the country have met with a lot of resistance by the local population. First it was Dandigram and now Shingur, and not to miss the emotive issue of acquisition of agricultural land for industry land that triggered unrest in Gurgaon and Noida. Now protests have caught up in the capital. Right from Orissa, Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra, Haryana to West Bengal, there have been protests by landlords over land acquisition by the government in the name of special economic zones. Shingur is a microcosm of the larger problem facing the country. After a controversial stay in West Bengal, Tata Group chairman Ratan Tata announced the pullout of nano plant out of Shingur in West Bengal early this month. The wrangling over the nano car plant has finally been put to rest after Tatas shifted their ₹1 lakh car nano project to Sananand near Ahmedabad at an investment of ₹2,000 crore, declaring that efforts will be made to roll out the world's cheapest car from a makeshift plant to meet the deadline. The development is not only a bad news for the industrialization program of the West Bengal government, but also for India as an attractive and investment-friendly destination. Tata's decision has raised many questions that the political class needs to answer in order to ensure that future economic progress of the country is not held hostage to the short-term political interest of various parties. The defining factor in land acquisition is the manner in which governments use the brute power at their disposal to force decisions in their favor, regardless of the consequences. It also puts in focus the question of land acquisition and the stake of farmers in the industrialization process of the country. The need of the hour is that the governments at the state and the center level really need to ponder at this vexed issue and reach a consensus on the future path of industrialization in the country, which should be all-inclusive and not for the few rich. Bureau Report for Lok Sabha Television.
Now, if I could begin the discussion with you, Mr. Chopra. Now, after Singur controversy, Nano project now has been shifted to relocated to Ahmedabad. Now, how come things went out of hand in West Bengal? How would you elaborate on that?
You see, I wouldn't say that things went out of hand, but West Bengal has proved to be a government when faced with serious opposition to these plans. They told the people, if you don't like it, you don't have it. The same thing happened in Raigad, in Maharashtra. The same thing happened in Goa. So I think people are expressing the view that they want to be consulted in changes. Now, the interesting thing is that with regard to where the thing has gone, to Gujarat, we find that from 1998 to 2005 in Gujarat, the rate of growth of commercial establishments was 25% plus.
Right.
But